and welcome to your daily podcast live on King FM on episode 1. My name is Alhagie and I am with
Adama Nyang.
as you rightly mentioned, I'm there with Adama, of course. And coming up in this edition, government eyes 90% electricity coverage by end of 2025. Loan from ex-minister Gomez and diverted funds put a former Basse Area Council under a fire. And of course, more on that too. We're going to tell you stories that are very interesting, and then we're going to talk about the importance of a good governance, and then where are we when you talk about good governance too. But for more on that, let's join Adama Nyang to take us speed with all that you need to know on the lead stories on Standard News paper as well.
Yeah, on the Standard we have Governor said they address African Trade Finance Forum in London. Another story is government rely on Vietnam Convention to legalize overseas ID card insurance misleading. Ex-Basse Area Council chairman not aware of 51 million withdrawal by Finance Minister. Can they address African Political Parties Forum in Accra?
Yes, those are the lead stories on Standard News paper for you, as you rightly had it there, because we are going to take you speed with all that you need to know regarding the daily papers in the country, of course, as you rightly know. So, we're going to take you speed with a little bit of the stories that we're going to take you through regarding the daily podcast on King FM. This podcast will come on your way Monday to Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and all that you really need to know, the ins and outs of this country and regarding outside world are important. Let us begin with Standard Newspaper first on the lead story, where Boa City, governor of the Central Bank of the Gambia, has in a bold and uncompromising speech at the Conference 25 meeting in London, United UK, where he also mentioned the importance of African continent must redefine its role in the global community financial landscape. This meeting is also important for the countries in Africa to also know their stand and contend for what they also mean and stand for, because the traditional way of dealing with the Western has to be rethink and need to be withdrawn to see how best we can move forward our country to another level. So we are going with another lead stories which was read us from Adama Nyang. That is a boy also who was also electrocuted at a Shuchu Valley as well. National Water and Electricity Company yesterday announced that a young boy was electrocuted while cutting tree branches near. According to the reports from the people on the branch of the tree located dangerously close to the high tension lines, while a cut gently contacted the live wire, resulting in an instant electrocution and his untimely death. Now, say in a statement yesterday while extending condolences to the family of the victim, now also say tragic event serve as a serious reminder of extreme danger of working near electricity infrastructures in any even particular environment. The company warned the public to avoid cutting or trimming trees near power lines, and always maintain a safer distance of at least 3 meters from all power lines as well. Adama, let's digest this story. Indeed, it is a short story because of a boy who was hired to cut tree branches in order not to tamper with the cable of Nawek, but eventually it has caused a death for this young boy. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, Mr. Fatih, it is an unfortunate situation there, but I guess Nawek should do better when it comes to stuff like that, because you can say around, you go to some certain places where you see network wires are so close to people's houses, or they are hanging on trees, which is so unsafe, especially this rainy season in which we are. water is coming every day, the rain is coming every day, so it is very easy for electricity to shock someone. So I think that should do better by looking at the places where they should fix their poles or their wires. Yeah.
All right, and then we take us to another story, a very interesting story, as you can rightly understand. That is Nawek. That story was impressive from Nawek to take action and it warned the public regarding a Church Act. They need to take all the precursors measurement that needed to be done in order to avoid that. But now, let's move on with Fourier News paper, where government eyes 90% electricity. The Minister of Petroleum, Energy and Mines, Mr. Nadi Jawara, has announced that the government is on the course of active 90% electricity coverage by the end of 2025 as part of its ambition goal to deliver universal access to electricity for all Gambians by the close of 2026. Mr. Jawara made this disclosure on Friday during his appearance at a ministerial town hall meeting where outlined the administrative comprehensive plans to expand power supply nationwide. The government targets universal electricity access by the end of 2026 and will work to achieve 90% coverage by the end of 2020. The minister said he revealed that the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and other philanthropic organizations are collaborating on Mission 300 on what? An initiative aimed at providing electricity to 300 million people in sub-Saharan Africa by 2030, in line with the Sustainable Development Goal. Saying this effort seeks to address the plight of over 600 million people in the region where still lack access to power. We have developed a compact program with the World Bank, which has been validated and is expected to be approved in September for implementation settlement. He added that as part of the broader ECOWAS support, Mr. Jawara said the regional block specialization agency also has provided a 66 million US dollar grant. Most of the projects were implemented and all the grants are funded, and such as we will continue to push to achieve this universal access as directed by the president in Norway. So another development story, NAVEC also has taken a good step to supply the entire nation with electricity by the end of 2020. So being heading to 2026 supply in the country. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
As electricity is a main need in this generation, it is even a basic need, so it is a very interesting story there. We say bravo to Narek, if that is possible. It will be something very good.
And also, it is because of, if you look at the project, it is not only purely for the Gambia, it's a mission for the entire continent, Africa as well. So I think World Bank and the other government partners in Africa also now, they've realized how important electricity is to have it at the provincial area too, because it cannot be by people living in Congo. They are also part of the country. And then we take us to another burning issue on social media, because of the government has embarked on a giving out national documents to the citizens, Gambians who are based in other part of Africa as well. But the large part of the population and the oppositions are complaining for a foul play, saying the government is planning to tamper with the election. So people are calling, but it's not really actually time for calling this program. So let's do this article, and then we will digest that on the program as we rightly mentioned. This that is a government resilience on Virginia Convention to distribute and oversee ID card issue misleading. Esanjai, political science lecturer at the University of the Gambia, now studying in the US, has said government reference to the principle of principle of jurisdiction under the 1961 Virginia Convention diplomatic relationship justify the issuance of ID cards to Gambians abroad is a deliberate attempt to divert citizens' attention from the controversial policy. The Ministry of Interior defended the policy, saying that the Virginia Convention, Gambia retains legal authority to extend public service, including the issuance and on diplomatic relationship, and the Virginia Convention on consular relations of 1963 made exemplary mention of extraterritorial jurisdiction to diplomatic immunities and not service provided, such as issuance of national ID cards, documents with the ministry's statement missed out. Just further explain that Article 29 of the Virginia Convention on Diplomatic Relations only guarantees the vulnerability of diplomatic agencies by protecting them to any form of arrest and the detention, whether the receiving state having the responsibility to protect them, their freedom and integrity. So it means the government also has now defended the reason of them giving out diplomatic, that is our national ID card to Gambians who are in other part of Africa, and they say, if you look at the very African location, small, that government to support them. So this is what is happening. You also have an idea about international freedom. Let's now bring in our own perspective. Let me hear your own take on this one. How do you see the central government allocating ID cards to citizens outside the country?
Yeah, our Gambian government. So whether they are in the country or outside the country, our neighboring countries, they will come to the Gambia. We normally see them. They will come to Gambia to issue ID card to their citizens. So I don't think that it is something wrong for our government to do the same thing, to issue identification card to Gambian citizens outside. We'll see themselves as citizens of this country and we'll have our national documents.
Yeah, yesterday on our program, there was one professor who is also living in United States. He also emphasized on the importance of the government taking the money. He said a good example of that, majority of African countries are going overseas to issue their citizens with documents, but he said except Gambia. But now it is we are heading to the election in 2026. Yeah. The oppositions are crying for a foul play because they are saying the quickest means for you to obtain Gambian voters card is by ID cards. On three. Let me bring this question from Mama Kande. Mama Kande, the leader of the GDC, he said, for one to have an ID card in the Gambia, you have to go through a very difficult process. One, you have to produce your birth certificate yourself, and still you have to present one of your parents their ID card. So Mama Kande is acting in outside of the country, being Mauritania, Gabon or Togo. Which criteria is the government using to give ID cards to those people? Because if you say the people in Gambia, they must present their birth certificate and one of their parents' document, ID card to be precise. So what measures are they using outside? So there are a lot of untold stories regarding this situation. So in this perspective, I think the immigration department, there should be more of a transparency in how they give out the ID. Has to be clear. It cannot be a closed-door meeting or a private conversation. This we are talking about a national issue. Then it has to go across the board. I think giving out the documents is not something that I should say is bad, or I don't think it is something that I should also recommend based on what have been manifested in other part of the continent as well, because of the process of giving the documents is very important. But the way that we are doing it, we need to be clear to the citizens. I think
it should be clear to citizens, because Gambians will question how are they getting these documents, because we all know how we get the documents inside the country. But to me, it is not wrong. But the issue here is immigration or Gambian immigration should come out, tell the public that this and this way are the ways we are using to give documents to these people. It is very possible those people are outside the country, but they are communicating to their families, so they can still use their parents' documents to acquire the identification card. So to me, that is not bad. Talking of election coming, they are issuing ID card because maybe someone can use that to get a voter's card. But I think that it was very clear to everyone that people outside the country are not voting because they are not issuing them voter's cards. So I don't think anyone will go to a polling station where you need to vote and show an ID and say that I will vote and they allow you to vote. So I don't think people should convince those two. The ID, having the national document, ID card does not mean that you can vote. You must have a voter's card before you vote. So I don't think that has anything to do with it, but people are entitled to their opinion.
Yes.
But to me, giving them ID card is very right. It is their right to have those ID cards. But we all know that it was said here, they are not going to be issued voters cards. So that does not mean that when they have ID cards, they should go to vote. Nobody will use an ID card in our country to vote, to cast a vote during election. So that was my point. But to the Gambia immigration, I think they should come out and make it clear to the public that this way or these manners are the one we are using to issue identification card to Gambians outside the Gambia.
Yeah, that is exactly what Mama Kande claimed, because he said that, for instance, the process was done in Mauritania, but up till now, no single Gambians have the information how many Gambians have ID card in Mauritania. There was no list of who obtained it, who have it, who doesn't have it, and then they proceed to the other countries too, so which is not clear to the people. So these are issues that the citizens are also complaining. So because we are talking about good governance under the principles of democracy, and that will move us to our next topic on the program. That is, when you talk about good governance, many people limit themselves, or when you talk about the democracy, many people limit themselves by casting their vote, going out vote, and they think that is the only democratic right they have. Because under the principle of good governance and democracy, you have right to education, right to health, well-being, social welfare, and then freedom of expression. So all these things are under democracy, but majority will only think of because every citizen in the country, by law, you have right to vote, and you have right to be voted as well. So combining these two factors together, we should not limit ourselves to right to vote or right to be voted. It has gone far beyond that. Our health, our education, a lot of these things, social well-being. Let me hear your take on your understanding of the democracy and good governance.
Yeah, democracy and good governance is like citizen of a country. Every citizen of a specific country, you have a right in that country. Like you already said, you have the right to vote and you have the right to be voted for. But it does not end there. Yeah. All of us have ways or means to contribute to the development of our country, as we have right. Do not stay at one corner or you stay at one place and say, this is the responsibility of the government to do so and so. So I just be sitting there. If they don't do right, I start to make noise. It is our duty as citizens of a country to contribute to the national development of our country. Even anyhow small it can be, but you waking up every day and making sure that you contributed something to your nation is a good thing for every citizen. And we should all try to make sure that we contribute to the development of our country. Not only when it comes to politics, where you say, party A or party B are not doing so and so, so we should promote party A or we should bring party B. You yourself, ask yourself, what am I doing for my country as a citizen? It is also important. So we should all try to work together to make sure that we take our country to the place we want to see it.
All right, so what we do, let's remind our listeners that they are listening to King FM Live on 94.7 and on King TV as well, so they can drop us their comments and contribution regarding this newly program, the daily podcast live on King FM with me, Alhagie Fati, and Adama. So this program comes Monday to Thursday, 1 to 2 p.m. So we're talking about good governance and democracy. We have one article that will tell us the longest serving presence in the continent as we speak right now, and we are coming to digest something that will be very sensitive too. So, all right, so now what we need to do, here are the longest serving presidents in Africa. The top 5, number 1, Teodoro Obiang of Equatorial Guinea, a country where the former Gambian president has been there for an exile. Obiang have ruled Equatorial Guinea for 46 good years. He came to power in 1973, and that was August 3rd, 1973. Another long-serving president in the continent is Paul Biya of Cameroon. He ruled Cameroon for 43 years and is still looking for another election in Cameroon. He came to power November 6, 1982. The third one is Denis Sassou Nguesso. Congo, 41 years. He also came to power in 1974. The fourth one is Yoroso Museveni, Uganda. 39 years in power, he is still ruling 1986. The fifth one will be King Moswiti Isweti. I think now they call them Lesotho. He also ruled from 1986 up to date. Okay, so now we are talking about good governance and democracy. But there is something very important that I am about to say. That is, in Africa, democracy is a broad way, it's a wider range of governance. I think the way Americans have their democracy, the way the Africans have their democracy, the way the Asians, whatsoever, each country also differs in way they should have their democracy. In our continent, Africa, we believe in our culture, traditional way of things, and then these are things that has maintained peace, respect for each other, and accepting our differences. But if we want to bypass or close how our forefathers has been living in this country for more than 400 years ago, and we want to take the American democracy where men and where we can practice gay, God forbid, lesbians can exercise whatsoever they want. Those are not part of our culture. Those are not part of our African democracy. So these are issues that the African are mixed up in things. And even whereas if you go right now, you check Ivory Coast, there is a massive protest in Ivory Coast as we speak right now. Alassane Ouattara wanted for 4th term in office. The entire country, people come out in large numbers, they protest and show their anger. The president should not contest for the next election. Well, we are not saying they should not say that, but I don't think that was the right place and that was the right moment for them to do so, because we cannot allow any president to be the cause to destroy our continent, to destroy our country, to destroy our humanity, to be a dividing glass between us and our neighbors, between us and within our family and friends. It's time for Africa to rise up and try to find a real way of democracy that suits our way of life. I don't believe in Western democracy. Maybe you can believe so, but I don't believe that.
Yeah, to me, I believe in Western democracy. That's not necessarily Western democracy, but the issue of term limit, I truly believe in it. Because like for Africa, our forefathers were doing it. They stay for long in power. Yeah. But we are different. Generations change and people change. Now if someone stays in power for more than a decade, that person started to term that place as a family chain. We should not be. We are all equal in our countries. We are all equal in our nations. So what if you spend 2 terms, I think it is very enough for you to step down and allow somebody else to come. But you cannot be in power for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. As you mentioned, someone stayed in power for 30 years or 30-something years. That is about 3 decades. You are in power. It is your family. It is a kingship. No. So I think if that's all Africans should go up towards this. We should have term limit for our presidents. That will bring more development to our nation. Because like for a president, if he started the first term, the president always focused on development and other stuff. But when he enjoyed first term, he or she enjoyed first term or second term, they started to make that place as their family stuff. People close to them are the one entitled to things in a country. People not close to them or people opposing them are not entitled to things in a country sometimes. So I think it is very necessary for Africa to start to work towards that, where all presidents in Africa should have term limits. When they spend a certain amount of years, they should step down and allow others to come in. They're staying in power for decades and you still want to continue. Why people are seeing a lot of lapses in your ruling and you still want to continue ruling people, it always brings problems. So a lot of fights and other things we are seeing in our continent is because of president overstaying in power. So I think Africans in large should work towards that and have time limit for each country so that we have peace and stability in our continent.
All right, taking it from what you rightly mentioned right now, let's reverse and check the reasons why leaders don't want to step down. Let's try to do this.
Okay.
There are several reasons why some African leaders have held into power for extended period. Power consolidation. Many leaders have used various means to consolidate their power, including manipulating institutions, suppressing oppositions, and controlling key institutions. Fear of accountability. This is another key. Some leaders may fear that stepping down will lead to accountability for the actions while in office, including potentially prosecution for human rights abuse or corruption. Personal enrichment. Long-serving leaders often accommodate significant wealth and power, which can make it difficult for them to relinquish control. Lack of strong institutions. In some African countries, institutions such as judiciary, legislature, and electoral commission may be weak or undeveloped, making it easier for leaders to maintain power. Patronage and silencing. Some leaders have built network of patronage and silencing while they distribute resources and benefit to loyal supporters in exchange for their loyalty. Fear of losing privileges. Leaders may fear that stepping down would mean losing the privileges and benefit that comes with power. Culture or historic factors. In some cases, culture or historic factors may contribute to leaders' reluctance to step down, such as a strong emphasis on authority or legacy of authoritarian rule. These factors can make it challenging for African leaders to relinquish power and transition to democratic leadership. Now we are talking about reasons why majority of African leaders, and then this phrase reminds me Barack Obama, that is the former president of the United States. There was one UN general meeting, whereas we have more than 45 African head of states, including the Gambian president, former president Jammeh, and former president of Libya, Gaddafi, when they all were seated. Barack Obama stood and spoke and said, this is what I don't understand about African leaders. You came to power with nothing. Within short periods, you've enriched yourself, become the richest man on the planet, but still, you don't want to step down to give chance to your citizens. What kind of leaders are you? That was Barack Obama's statement.
Yeah, for me, I will come to your second point where you say they fear accountability.
Accountability, yes.
Yeah. As a leader, you should not fear accountability when you know you rule in a better way. I cannot say in the best, but when you rule in a better way. If you come to a country, you rule. It is still taking us to time limit. If you know that if I spend 10 years, or if I spend 15 years, or if I spend 5 years, I will step down. And if I step down, I must tell the country how I was leading them. You will work towards that. Then more development will come. But if you sit as a president and say, there is no time limit, I can rule as long as I wish, you will fear accountability. So you deem that it is very necessary for you to stay in that position so that no one will account you for it. But we should know that it is not possible for anyone to stay in power forever. You must step down one day. So as a president, when going in that thing, you should know that one day you should step down and somebody else will come. And the citizen of the country must ask, how was he or she ruling us? So accountability came at that point. And you should take note of, as you are ruling people, even you're ruling a small group of people, know that accountability will come one day. So you should rule in a better manner and use state resources in a better way so that you will not fear accountability.
Yeah, I think I agree with you entirely. The writer actually mentioned the fear factor. If you are ruling a country and you believe that within a short period of time you will step down, and within a short period of time there will be a lot of commission and there will be a lot of accountability on the way you rule that particular country, you will rule well. But if you sit with the intention of ruling that country for 50 years, like how our former president used to do, forever, that becomes something that will produce something else in that particular country. So if you look at it, the term limit, I think for me, if I look at Western democracy, I don't like it. But there are other features inside it that I also would like to take those ones and amend it in our African context. Like for instance, the good example of term limit, like the United States, no matter how good you are, no matter how much people love you, like Barack Obama when he was stepping down, he said, this is the law. I know even if I contest for the third time in America, I'll win the election. But I will not going to contest for the third time. The law did not allow it, and I will never do anything with that. That is the law. That should be maintained. It's for good for everyone. So I must step down. I will step down. So those are things that you are in power, but you are building life after presidency. But in Africa, in some part, I think the people that surround our leaders, the culture, the environment, all these factors play a part. Because of let me reverse a bit. Because of maybe during former president, during Jawara's regime, I might be a little bit child by then. But 1994, then I was going to school. That one I understand a bit of the government. But if you look at it, the way the junta came into Uganda in 1994, and their transition period, the first 2 years, and let me say the first 3 to 4 years, they were doing things accordingly, even though it was a military government. But what I believe in, we made people to become dictator. We create dictator within ourselves. I think with all the powers that they have, with all everything that they enjoy, it is because of how we, treat them. Because if you look at the statement there, had it been we have a good legislative system, we have a good judiciary system, there are certain things in most part of Africa would not allow. Gambia, for instance, a good example of that. Right now, there is no term limit in Gambian constitution. The Gambia is still working on the 1997 constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. That is what's existing, which clearly there is no clause in that constitution that says that there is a term limit for president. So meaning that automatically qualifies President Adama to contest for the next election. So if we have to correct those issues, we must revive our judicial system, legislative. There are a lot of stuff that the Gambia, the institutional reforms in the country, Gambia is far behind, behind time as how it's expected. So to be precise, the current system of our country does not have any term limit. That one is a law. That's not my word. That is what is happening in the country. That's to be clear to everyone, and I believe people understand that.
Yeah, we don't have term limit, but I think the law or the constitution should be revised so that we have term limit in the country. Because in a country, I don't even mean only Gambia, in Africa, I think all African countries should work towards that, where we have term limit for our presidents. And I could learn from you saying that it is people around that make the president to become a dictator. To me, the one behave as you want to behave, especially when we talk of a president. You cannot be a president and people behind you are telling you what to do. The president himself knows what he is doing and what he is going for. Yeah.
Okay. That is very, very good statement there. So as you rightly mentioned, this is a very important things to talk about, because it is high time for us to be sensitizing each other regarding our collective and national responsibility. Before you ask, what can your country do for you?
Ask what we do for your country.
Thank you. So those are stuff that we do. So Adama, as we rightly mentioned, this is a daily podcast which is purely on current affairs. Today is episode 1. We only came on air today to introduce the program and the presenters to the audience and the viewers as well, just for them to know and understand now. There will be a daily podcast on King FM, whereas we are going to be talking about very sensitive issues regarding good governance, the good practice of real democracy and good governance in our country. It doesn't necessarily have to be Gambia, it has to be Africa as a whole. And then anything that has to do with the national interest, this program will make sure we are there to bring it out to our audience. But the program is purely on the English version. We have a lot of local programs here, so this program is purely on current affairs.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fati, and to our viewers, we are saying that you please come out to listen and to view, to watch us, and to the listeners to listen our program. It is going to be a very interesting program which will come your way every day on King FM from Monday to Thursday. So please join us and watch this program, and you are highly welcome to put up your opinion or your contribution to this show.
Yeah, probably maybe not for today, but for tomorrow, we will, I think we're going to take text messages. We only accept text messages on this program. We are not going to open telephone lines because sometimes, due to the time factor, and then we have a lot of programs coming on from 2 upwards to 5. What we do in this particular program, we're going to allow people to send their text messages on either on the paid live or on 50140255, 50140255. You will send us your text message on that regarding any issue, particularly national interest, because our main focus is national interest and current affairs within Africa. That's what we stand for. So we will do a short one, but it's unfortunate. What we do again, let's go back to the standard newspaper. The standard newspaper, so the article that you read about our Basse Area Council, we need to revisit that before we go. I cannot forget that.
Obviously.
51 million?
I was thinking of
the knowledge of
51 million is a huge amount.
Yeah, without the knowledge of the area council chairman.
That is
I would like to read that. I would like to read through a few lines about that. Actually, because it's really devastating.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about good governance, transparency, and under the rules of law. If such things are happening, people are voted in and they are neglecting their responsibility. Those days are gone. We want people to exercise, because if you are crying for a job with the government, we are not denying that, but you also have to do as how it's expected. That is why people give you a chance for you to be there. Let's check this story for a comprehensive perspective on this daily podcast. Fode Danjo, the former chairman of Basse Area Council, yesterday also testified at the local government commission of inquiry via Zoom from his current residence in the United States. The inquiries queries Danjo over the withdrawal of 51 million from the council's account by one Lamin Suso, the finance director during his time as a council chairman. But according to the former chairman, he was not aware of such a withdrawal. Millions of dollars were withdrawn without any authority. In fact, more than $51 million was withdrawn by the people you are supposed to supervise or give clearance for those withdrawals. So if you are excused, if your excuse is you don't know at that time, that is not an excuse. The law requires that you have to know. Gomez told the witness. The former chairman agreed that a large sum of money were withdrawn, but the monies were used for projects. He was then questioned about the specific case of 51 million withdrawn by Finance Director Lamin Suso, who claimed it was for council process, for council purposes. I only knew that through this commission. Danjo told the inquiry. Mr. Danjo, you guys are chairman or mayors were very familiar with the authorities you have. But you hide behind the fact that the CEO and the finance director are the ones you sign checks. But before checks are there is no way that people can sign checks without you either knowing or having the possibility of knowing of it was signed. So if you were doing your job or job as a chairman, you would have realized that this withdrawal were not duly authorized. Legal counsel told Danjo. However, Danjo insisted that he was doing his job. Accordingly, I hired 2 internal auditors to audit the accounts. If I wanted corruption in the council, I would not have done that. Danjo argued when Council Gomez told him he had failed in his job. I think just to go straight to the point, I agree entirely with Gomez on this matter because the whole chairman of our Basse Area Council withdrawing money up to $51 million saying you don't know, that is not fair to the Gambians. Yeah, with due respect.
That is not fair, and especially to people of Basse Area Council. That amounts to a good amount of money which can aid development in their council. So one person or individual person taking it, or a group of people taking that amount of money, it really something sad.
Yeah, so these are things that we are talking about. This program is not about witch hunt. This program is purely about national interest and based on the fact. Because the President, His Excellency President Adama, trusts people and didn't chance. And then to work with them, didn't chance to work with them. But how many commissions were in? And then at the end of the day, what were the responsibilities of such? So I think we have a long way to go. There must be an example. These things cannot be fixed, it has to be stopped.
Yeah, it have to stop. But I think Gambia take advantage of situation. Because people will say, commissions are just there, commissions will organize, people will come and testify and nothing will come out of it. So they will just be in power and mislead public offices and mislead public funds, and they misuse them, use it as a family stock. You cannot go to a council where you have thousands of people, or I can say thousands of people residing in that area council, and you take their money, an amount of $51,000 without accountability. That is so sad. So I think the government, or I don't know, the commission of Basse Area Council should do better to try to find out where that money goes to, and it will be given to people or to the people of Basse Area Council.
It's sad, but in the narratives, you can understand that the CEO and the finance director once said that money was used for the purpose of the country. That is what they say, which the government was not even aware. So that makes the drama more worse.
But they should, that's why I said, I think they should do better to find out where the money goes to and hand out the money to the right people. Yes, than keeping it and trying to hide behind other stuff. That money is a huge amount of money.
It's a huge amount of money, definitely. So as we already mentioned, this program is your daily podcast live on King FM and King FM, King TV as well. It will be coming live from 1 to 2 p.m. Monday to Thursday with me, Alhagie Fati, and it's a daily podcast for you on this program. So as we said, we have no barriers. We're going to cross all the untold stories to bring them on speed and let Gambians know what happened. So we'll text. I will take only 2-3 text messages. Let's check the people who just dropped the messages. Lamin Sise said, Mr. Fati, we need to you need to take calls. No, okay. Let me say claim for the land. Another one says this is a government that will only allow the corrupt people to work with. Sato says party politics is killing the country. If we don't separate it with our national interest, Gambia will never grow. I think I agree entirely with the last caller. You talk about party politics. Party politics. What do you understand about party politics?
Party politics, like most Gambians will just associate themselves with one party. Yeah. Mostly, even people will not look at the party. They will just look at this party, majority of this party, they are my tribe. Yeah. They will just follow those people, and they are not even looking at what that party can bring to our country or what that party can bring to us. They will just follow that group or that party because my tribe is among this party. So that is what is here. So I agree with Satu. That is really affecting our country and affecting the politics of this country. People will not look at a party and see that this party can bring development of this country, but rather they look at parties because majority of my ethnic group are part of this party and they go for that party.
Yeah, I think we are entirely mixing up with politics. So the politics, what I understand, regardless of your political affiliation, tribe, gender, or whatsoever, it is your right to choose any political party that you really want to be associated with. Because one thing is based on national interest. If you have more than 4 political parties, you go through their agendas and then select one that you think that will benefit the nation based on their program and policies. You trust them, you give them a chance to vote them in. But if you choose a particular political party, that is your caller, that no matter what happens, you vote. That's why even if you check our National Assembly election, it has always affected people. Because you see, we have 5 political parties at one constituency, but the party that has the lowest vote in the presidential election, their candidate might be capable than the top 2. Yeah. So instead of people looking at national interest, but what they do that's what I did as a party. They do party politics. They say, in as much my party presents Mr. X, regardless of his qualifications whatsoever, is Mr. X. Yeah. So I think we have to be very careful of short things.
Yeah, Gambia don't look at agendas. Most Gambians don't look at agendas. What this person or what this party can bring to us, they don't look at this. I support this party, or my family support this party, or this is where my tribe is, they go for that party, but they don't look at what the party can bring to the nation or what the party can do for the country. So I think as citizens we should do better to look at agendas of all politicians or all political parties and look at the party we think or the person we think that this person, when we put the person in power, the person will be able to at least bring development to the country, not looking at this party is a party I will go for because this and this is meant for this party.
Yeah. And I think we have to thank our partners on this program too, AFF Media News Link, Urbanjstv as well, King FM and then King TV as well. All these platforms that are flowing us live on this particular program, the episode 1 of your daily podcast, which comes, as I said, 1 to 2 p.m. because live in the studio. So we'll be going for more text messages in our tomorrow's edition. And Adama, let's just do a little bit recap. We have talked about a lot of stuff, but for me, what was more interesting on the program to this afternoon for me was how our leaders want to stay in power. For what? Lack of security, for safety. That article really touched me. That bring me in why even 2016 impasse also. When you look at it, Jamil wanted to go, but now he was thinking,
accountability.
What will I do? What will happen to me? This man said that. So those are very important things. So it's like rule well, step down, go and sleep at your compound, you are safe. Rule bad, rule bad, step down behind the closet. Yeah. So that article is very important, and then it has also reminded us like we have the top 5 African countries that are still when they are, long-serving presidents. That reminds us the electoral Guinea where Jammeh is right now. They are president, Cameroon, so all those countries, the leaders have been there, they're still going for more and more and more. And when already they are,
and they are even old, they are not capable and they still want to stay in power.
well, Adama, we've come to the end of the program for today. I think it has actually been a very interesting episode for our social corporate responsibility to sensitize people about their don'ts and undon'ts as well. We are not taking calls for those calling. You can only drop me a message. If you call on this line, we cannot take call, but you send me a message that I will read it on the air. But that's why we are taking call. You send a message. The message have to be clear. If there's any F words in the message, I cannot carry that one. So that's why I'm not doing this program. Is a very sensitive program. All right. So Adam, I think we have to do down the contents for today until we come again tomorrow, God willing.
Until tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
It has been a powerful program for us, and then I'm sure for our viewers and listeners as well. From me, Alhagie, and I'm Adama, and then we are glad that we have people who are also sending messages and calling to be part of the program. But hopefully tomorrow's episode will be another one to check with us. So from our TV director Mohamed Jammeh and the rest of the team, we thank you all for the pleasure of your company. Goodbye. What is coming now?
Huh? Yes. Sarahula News. But Sarahula News is not. Sarahula man is not around. You go.
Tonyala mote sosoro kela ala meyenda wala ko kuna mu peja be do don dafana bari ko ko fa mbe ko be woto fiso haba to sawada ka modi ka ba bola tiya ko me ki ka jaro ke an kila la sunna sallallahu alaihi wasallam islamu ko so